Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. And we have been working our way through some franchises since last October, slowly but surely, and we are returning to one of those franchises today with A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. So, movie number 5. This came out in 1989. Tim, what's that face?
I'm trying to see like how close I can get my eyes to like still see but not be like completely shut. So it's interesting.
Why? You just look like you're squinting at something. What are you doing?
I don't know. I was just curious.
Is this the shit I have to put up with in this show? Is you squinting at me?
I gotta do something to entertain myself while you're going on that intro. I just kind of tune out until you ask me what I thought.
So we start spoiler free as we always do. I will give you warnings somewhere in the middle before we get into spoilers. So just to sum up, just to get previously on Screams After Midnight.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
Nightmare on
Jack
Elm
found
Street.
the hatch.
Did you say Jack went down the hatch?
No, Jack found the hatch.
Jack found the hatch. Okay. Solid lost reference, all the same. Solid.
Yeah. Remember when you would hear that boom boom or whatever sound effect?
And Lost specifically?
Yeah.
No. I love the score in Lost. It was great. Michael Giacchino did a fantastic score for that.
Sure.
But hey, we're here talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. But yeah, previously on Screams After Midnight. My name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man. No, I'm kidding. All right, so previously, just to recap our thoughts on the first four, right? Just to sort of get us to where we are. First one, great film, classic for a reason,
Yeah.
really, really solid, good stuff.
Love it.
Serious horror movie, really inventive. Two, weaker film, but not the worst thing ever. It has some solid scenes and moments. It's not really a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, it's more of a possession movie.
Yeah,
But
it's an interesting artifact. I kind of call that one.
it's interesting. It has some charm to it, at the very least. It's watchable. 3, great sequel. It's my favourite of the series. I think it's fantastic.
Very
I like
good.
him even more than the first one. I don't think you do, but even you still love it.
Yeah, I love the first one a little bit more, but I mean 3 is great. I really like it.
That's when it gets really inventive. It really brings in the continuity of the series. Big stuff. 4 was an interesting one to talk about because I remembered it being worse than it was, and it actually wasn't too bad. I actually think I might even like it more than 2.
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah.
It's a little bit goofier. It definitely goes a little bit more to the comedy, but the kill scenes are really good, and the whole plot idea where Alice has this power where she's kind of like absorbing the abilities of the other kids who are dying is actually really fun. Something that is not mentioned once in this entire film, might I add. So,
Wait, what?
and 5.
The Dream Master?
Yeah.
Oh, 5? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that entire ability that she had in the last movie.
Yeah.
Not mentioned once in this one. Just pointing that out. First complaint. Right. But so we're here now, part 5, The Dream Child, and basically the plot of this one. Because remember, like we actually defeated Freddy last time again with his reflection. I think was how we beat him at the end.
Yeah.
That was really random.
That's his weakness.
If I have a critique of the series as a whole, is that we keep having new ways to defeat him, and they all sound more bullshit than the last one.
Yeah.
So
you got to keep trying.
Yeah. But hey, so the premise
Kind
of
of
this
like
one,
Castlevania. It's like they defeat Dracula in every game, but it just keeps getting resurrected.
that's true. Hey, there was a joke about that in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Wait, about Castlevania specifically?
No, but Dracula always coming back.
Okay.
Because the episode with Dracula, Buffy vs Dracula in season 5, episode 1.
I kind of like that episode. Some people think it's like the people kind of accuse it of jumping the shark.
No,
That's not bad.
I had fun with that episode. I think season 5 as a whole is one of the best seasons. So,
Is that who's like the big bad in that?
Glory.
One? Oh, okay. Oh, that is a good season.
It's
Yeah.
a good season.
Okay.
Yeah, I like season 5 a lot. No, I think it's fun. Xander's and the what's the character's name from Dracula?
Like the
one who gets
Renfield?
the one who gets taken over, Renfield. Yeah. He, having that role, Buffy doing her thing. But the joke at the end, of course, is that like after he's been dusted, the dust all starts to form again, and then she stakes him immediately, and then it starts to form again, and she's like, "I'm standing right here." It's a fun, like it makes no sense in the mythology of Buffy because vampires don't come back, but it's really funny.
Yeah.
So
It is funny, yeah.
You know?
I like that.
But hey, so yeah, so where was it? So the plot of this one is basically that Alice from the last movie. So we keep the main character, which is nice. Although I do question how she has a completely new set of friends at her same high school. All characters who we never saw in the last one, except her boyfriend, who's also still back from the last one. And they also brought her dad back. So I'll give it credit. They brought a lot of characters back this time, and they weren't just wiped away at the start of the film. So credit to that.
Yep.
But she gets pregnant, and because she's pregnant, Freddy like makes her. Even though Freddy's meant to be gone, but somehow that makes her dream of when Amanda Krueger was raped by the maniacs in the asylum. Because that was his backstory we found out about in 3. And you get a little cameo from Robert Englund, actually, I guess as the father, as the Freddy father.
Yeah.
You know, he was. I mean, they all abused her, but he was the one who his seed specifically was the.
See, I always thought.
This is disgusting to talk about, but you know what I mean.
I know. Yeah, I know actually, I've had this discussion many a time with a friend of mine that
Of course you have.
I know scientifically it doesn't make sense, but I always kind of assumed that it was the combination of all of the like everyone that kind of formed Freddy. Like it wasn't just one
Yeah, I mean,
sperm.
thematically, that's what we're talking about, but I think scientifically it can only really just be one. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you can be impregnated by lots and lots of different sperm at the same time. I don't think that's possible.
Not yet.
Ultimately, there's only one that breaks through and does the deed.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Why, unfortunately? what real life situation do you want to have multiple sperm? I guess if you've got like a surrogate mother for like a gay couple, and you want both the guy's sperm to like be part of the kid, I mean that makes sense. Okay, there's an application for it. That works.
Or if like I was gonna have a kid and I was like, maybe I want a little bit of the Rock.
Why would you want any of you though?
Well, no, I want some of me. Just like
No,
like
just
a little.
have the Rock and the wife. Go for it. You can also save money. Don't get the because the artificial insemination is like really expensive. Just have the Rock round for dinner and just ask him to do it.
Yeah, I guess that would work.
just you sit with the magazine while she's in with the Rock in the other room.
Ooh, okay, that's not a bad scenario because I get to read a magazine with you. So, all right.
Man, this is went some really weird places early on. I did not expect to go down here. So because of this, though, basically Freddy is regrowing in the dream inside her womb, inside her unborn child. And one of the big plot points that comes up is that babies actually dream a lot of the time, like 70% of the time they're asleep. So stuff can happen to her when she's awake because the baby's dreaming. That's a nice plot device. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a fun way to use things. So that's fun. But that's kind of the plot of the movie. And of course, he's killing her friends off, and apparently killing off her friends is like feeding him more energy to grow in the womb, and there you go. And I do like that at one point our friend is actually like, because once they've sort of figured a lot of this out, our friend is basically like, hey, would getting an abortion just kill Freddy? And
Yeah.
it's a really good suggestion. Like it probably would work. And she's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
it's
fair.
actually kind of...
But
yeah, it was actually kind of like interesting. Like they don't really explore it that much, but it was kind of like, oh, it's interesting that they're bringing that up.
yeah, I'm glad they brought it up because it's the first thing I thought is like, well, I mean, obviously, if you don't want an abortion, you don't want an abortion. But if it's going to kill a mass murderer who's taking lives by the day, you know, it's an interesting dilemma.
Yeah, and I think maybe it might have been like a little extra hard because this was the baby of her boyfriend who is now dead. So it's kind of like the last thing that she has, you know, of his.
Not
I
giving the
guess.
spoiler warning yet, Tim.
Oh, whatever. The kids are gonna die. Guess what? It's a
They're
nightmare movie.
5. I'm so sorry, Tim spoiled it for you. The big dramatic death.
It's like the first death, though. Come on, people.
Is it? Oh, maybe the first death. You're right. Maybe the first one. So yeah, I suppose I'll ask the question, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim. So I was pleasantly surprised that Nightmare 4 held up. So I was really curious to get into this one, which I also remembered not being very good. How I feel about this, but I'm going to ask you first, Tim.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child?
I actually kind of do.
What? What is this? No! No, you're a fool!
It's the. Don't get me wrong. It's not like a well-made movie, and
Okay, just answer me a question before you say anything else. Do you at least think it's the weakest one so far?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of 2, but I guess this one would be worse than it, and certainly if you kind of, because I kind of think of like the Dream trilogy as its own kind of separate thing, because it definitely has like the most kind of through line, and it's easily the weakest of those. But I would say the yeah, the story really isn't that good. Like there are a few interesting things in it that I do like, but overall it's not great. But I do think like the deaths are really cool. Like there's some that I think are pretty memorable, and I think they look cool, have some interesting effects, and with me and like a nightmare movie, that's kind of like one of the most important things. Like you really want to have like inventive, like cool looking deaths, and I think it definitely delivers on that. Yeah, Freddy is definitely amping up the cheese in this one, which I'm not crazy about. So yes, I'm not gonna say that this is a good movie, and it's definitely like the the weakest of the series so far, but I still like watching it. Like I can't say that I don't have fun when I watch it.
Yeah, that's a really bad year for horror because this and Halloween 5 came out in the same year.
Oof, oof.
I know.
What year was this?
89.
89. And then 5, that's the one with where like the little girls having the dreams and the visions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's and yeah, this is maybe kind of a bigger topic, but I really, really don't like this plot line that I feel like every franchise movie does at some point, where there's like something about like a child. Yeah.
Well, I liked in Halloween 4 because it was because I like Halloween 4 a lot, but once it got to 5 and it all became about like it went deeper into it. It just, that's where it falls down. And here, like, you actually have like a dream embodiment of her future son who's like 8 inside her dreams that she's trying to like help, and then he's the one. So full spoilers here for Nightmare on Elm Street 5. He's the one who ends up defeating Freddy because he kind of like he learns from him and then kills Freddy.
And that was like that's pretty cringeworthy. Like towards the end when like the kid is like, he has like Freddy makeup on, and that he thinks like trying to do like a little bit of a Freddy voice. He's like, "Hey, I want to learn from you now." And then I think he even says like, has like a dumb one-liner. He's like, "School's out," and it's like,
yeah, he does.
See, I don't really like the stuff with the kid as much. What I like more is the stuff with Amanda Krueger. Like I like the idea of her ghost trying to help and fight Freddy. Like that to me is a little more interesting.
It is. I think my problem with it though is I feel like it had already done everything I wanted from it in 3. Because it's funny, you said like 3, 4, 5 is kind of like a trilogy. I think 1 and 3 are kind of a perfect pair as well. 3 is a really interesting one where it's kind of overlaps, and it's like it's either the end of the story or the start of the new one, depending on how you look at it. And I think 1 and 3 are obviously the better pair compared to the 3, 4, 5.
And if I had to make like my kind of trilogy is that I think actually works really well is 1, 3, and then New Nightmare. I kind of like to lump those.
That works. Yeah, we'll get to New Nightmare in a month or two, a couple of months, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, my big problem with this is I feel like the fun elements of the last couple are gone. Like in 3, I love them teaming up, realizing that they can take control of the dream. And there is one death in this where the guy, like the comic book artist, kind of tries to do that. And, but it feels really hokey in comparison because no one else is doing it, and it's so choreographed when he's drawing these characters like, oh, this is the gunslinger dude that I make, and it's like, oh, you're obviously going to turn into that in your dream at some point. And I also thought they cheapened out on the effect because like when he first gets into the dream, he gets sucked into the comic, and they have this effect on him like he's a drawn character. But as soon as he goes into the dream, it just turns black and white. I was like, no, do the whole thing animated. Like,
yeah, it's kind of weird because I think this is like one of the cooler kills, but yeah, they should have really went like full on with it. Because once he is that kind of like panely paper looking thing, I think is really cool. And then when he's slashing him at the end and he's like bleeding color, like, oh, this is like a really cool idea. These are the kind of kills I want. But yeah, it doesn't really do it all the way.
It felt just super cheap and just turned to black and white. I'm like, no, like to have it all be like paper, like to actually do it properly. But yeah,
And then you get probably maybe one of the worst Freddy moments with Super Freddy, where it's like, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, he turns into like a bulky Freddy, and it's like this muscly guy playing him, and he's like, "I'm Super Freddy," and he even he does the Superman little, he's like, "Oh, is it faster
He says like
than a speeding killer or something like that," and then more powerful than a local something. I don't know. I can't remember what he said, but it was a play not that phrase.
Lines, but yeah, he's basically aping the Superman line to fit him.
Honestly, the only line from Freddy, well, two lines. There's two lines I like from Freddy in this. One is the really pretty girl where the mum is like obsessed with having her be a model and be like a cover girl. So she's always like telling her what to eat and what not to do and show up tomorrow. Don't mess up your hair, all that stuff. Her death is like Freddy shows up at this dinner party she's falling asleep at, and he stuffs her face full of food so she was really fat, and then she dies. The actual
this
death
one really grosses me out.
Yeah, the actual death, I'm just kind of whatever on. I do like, "Bon appetit, bitch." That's a really funny line, all right?
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's a lesser version of "Welcome to prime time, bitch." Right? That was better, but it was still kind of funny. Also, because Freddy's not around at first, and we have kind of the birthing scene in the nightmare where like you see the baby Freddy, then he grows and he puts the glove on, and then he stands up. He's like, "It's a boy."
Yeah.
Like, that's not bad. Like that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's definitely straddling the line of like, you know, the cartoony cheesy Freddy or whatever, but it is like a fun moment.
I think after those examples though, he does go super into it though, and the more it went on, the more the movie went on, the more problem I had with like the various things he was saying. Although that said, there's not as much Freddy in this as there was in the last one. I think it's because he's not there at the start, because they have to do the whole birthing thing.
That's true.
Now I want to talk about something, perhaps the most important thing in the entire movie.
Okay.
So she's got her friend. She's got the pretty sort of model girl. She's got the one who works part time at a hospital while she's in high school.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I never actually told us what her job was though. Like she seemed to have enough power to like call in the doctor. So because Alice wants her baby checked on like a Saturday morning, and her friend has enough power to call in the doctor to come and do this. And I'm like, you just graduated high school last week. Like what? Why do you have this power?
A little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Whereas Alice is still working at the same diner, which I appreciate for continuity's sake. But she's with her friend, nurse friend, in her bedroom, talking to her about something early on. And I noticed something in the background that I couldn't stop looking at once I'd noticed it. And I really don't understand this, Tim. I hope you can explain this to me.
Okay.
I was like, that looks like legs in the background, right? It was like jeans. It was like jeans, and then there was like, you know, your 80s style like kicks, the sneakers with the big flaps, right?
Okay.
And jeans, and then your eye goes up the jeans up to the waistline, and at the top of the waistline is a plant. It was a plant holder that looked like legs and jeans and shoes on.
I mean, I don't know.
You're weird. You can explain this to me. It's the sort of thing you'd have in your house, so you explain it to me what's going on here.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that you would go to. I don't know if you have these kind of stores, but like back when mall culture was big and people would go to the mall a lot, you'd have stuff like Spencer's Gifts or stuff, which just has really like weird, wacky, tacky kind of stuff, and I don't know, it probably just fits that line.
Weird, wacky, and tacky. What else? What a slogan? What a slogan?
But I don't know. I feel like it's definitely weird. But I don't know. It'd probably fit with something that like having like a pink flamingo or something on your lawn. But I mean, if you want the real answer as to what happened though, it was probably like a prop guy that was just like, you know,
this will be
running
funny.
late. That was like, all right, whatever. What can we put?
I wonder if it's something they actually bought though, or if they just like made it.
Yeah,
like, we want this in the background. This will be hilarious. And that's the other thing. So I mentioned they didn't reference Alice's like power last movie, where she was you know, taking in all of the powers of the other people. I mean, I guess you could argue that the baby's taking them instead, because Freddy's like sucking them in, but they never mention it.
It seems like, yeah, it's an oversight to not at least mention it or have her, say something about it.
Or even just something as simple as her saying, "Well, last time I had all this extra help because of that. This time I don't.
Yeah.
This is more scary."
Sure.
but nothing. It's a So yeah, and obviously it does that thing where all the deaths look like really bad accidents. The boyfriend's death looks like a car crash, when really he fell asleep at the wheel, and Freddy,
This is such like a weird death scene because he's basically just like being like, I don't know, kind of transformed like on the motorcycle, but it reminds me of like, I don't know, like something you would see in like a Sega Genesis game or something like I feel like you'd get like some like weird like old sci-fi game that that would be the kind of drawing you'd see on the cover, and then the thing on screen would look nothing like it. But
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, a lot of the deaths don't really stick out to me too much. The comic book guy's death kind of does. Obviously, her friend Yvonne, who's the nurse, she's the one who kind of survives and ends up helping because she goes to find Amanda Krueger's body, which will free her spirit so that she can help fight in the dream world. I think that ultimately my problem with it is that the rules of what's happening is never really well established, and then everything that does happen
sure.
feels like a weird kind of mix of just retreading old ground. Like the Amanda Krueger stuff feels like, oh, we have to find her body and like free her. That kind of feels similar to 3 and finding Freddy's skeleton. Like there's elements that feel a little bit similar here or there. And they never really play with the idea that, because Alice brings this up, like her and her child are immune because Freddy can't kill her. He needs,
because he needs her.
Yeah, he needs her to live so that the baby will be born so that he can come into the world, which is never really explained. That's just what's happening, by the way. There's never really an explanation for why he can do this. But like, I was like, do something with that. Have her play with that. Have her get dangerous because she knows that he can't hurt her. Like she's got carte blanche. She can do what she wants in the dream world when he's around.
Yeah, it never feels like there's anything that satisfying where they really like get one over on him. Like that's one of the best things about like Dream Warriors is these people using their powers to really take it to him and kind of you want to see him get like the shit beat out of him a little bit. And yeah, it'd be cool if maybe she did something more like that.
I think that's a good point. It never really feels like he's ever like perturbed by what's happening. It's not until the very end where the kid like turning on him and the Amanda Krueger being in there. And then we get the scene of like, oh, the kid like turns into a baby and then like disappears into her stomach, magical. And the same thing happens with Freddy. Freddy turns into a demon baby and goes into Amanda Krueger's stomach, and then she looks like she's in terrible pain. And I'm like,
I feel bad for her.
Yeah, poor ghost for Amanda Krueger. It's like this is her responsibility when it shouldn't be her responsibility. She didn't ask for any of this. She was assaulted and abused.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like she should be like the ultimate hero, but she's like treated like just garbage throughout the whole series. Like first, like they have pretty much like one of the worst things that can happen to her, and then like even in death, like she can't get any peace.
No, in death, it's your job to keep tabs on him. What?
But I do like the ending shot though of like, I did think it looked cool where it's just going down the hallway and all the doors keep slamming and then breaking open, and like I thought that looked cool.
Yeah. The actual ending though, where it cuts ahead and she's got the baby and her dad's there, and they're strolling off, and then you just see the girls and the skip rope.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget though, before they're on the picnic and the dad's coming over and taking out like as much Pepsi as he can.
That's true. Yes, some serious product placement. I was noticing that. Yes. But yeah, so I mean that's basically the movie. I suppose we have to mention the stroller, the demonic stroller with all the spikes on it.
That's true. Yeah.
And I have to watch because I learned recently that you wouldn't know what the word pram is. I would call this a pram.
Oh, okay.
But stroller. It's a stroller. You call it a stroller or a carriage, baby carriage. I think that's maybe more accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like spiky and it's like demonic and it's lethal. Which honestly, there's a couple of scenes with it in it, like chasing someone, but honestly, I feel like it's only there because it's something cool to put on the poster and at the end of the trailer.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just have it there at the end, because I'm looking at the poster right now and it's right in the middle. Freddy's holding it in his clawed hand, because of course he is.
Almost makes you think like you're gonna get a movie about like Freddy raising a kid, almost like a single dad sitcom or something.
I almost wonder if it'd be more ballsy to just completely change the genre and essentially turn this into Rosemary's Baby. It's still Freddy behind what's happening, but we don't have the Freddy murder scenes. We don't have like him killing people or hear him talk. We just get the faintest hint that Freddy's behind this.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, it's I feel like the like story wise, I feel like Freddy is a hard one to like bring back like with each movie and stuff because you always want to have like him defeated in the end. But then yeah, that always brings up the problem of like, all right, well, how do we get him back? And yeah, there's only like so much you can do. Like you can see them kind of going back to the well. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
in other
that's
movies.
why I think after three, I mean, four's fun, but it's kind of like, oh, we still have to force it, and then the way they defeat
Yeah,
him's kind of bullshit. I think after three, New Nightmare's the only interesting one that kind of does something different, where it's like, oh no,
sure.
let's do something completely different with it, and see what we can do. So I mean, hey. So I should mention as well, this is directed by Stephen Hopkins, who did go on to direct Predator 2, which I actually quite enjoyed. Predator 2,
Oh,
yeah.
oh yeah, I love Predator too.
So he went on to do that.
Yeah.
What else he's
Um,
done actually? This is the two films I knew him for. Oh dear. Okay, he's done some bad movies too. Well, this was
oh
bad
no.
as well, admittedly, but he did the Lost in Space movie from 1998.
Never saw it, but I remember the trailers.
Yeah, I saw it at the time. I was a kid at the time. It was
Yeah.
it was
I think
this sort of thing
I
that
think
I'd see.
yeah, as a kid, like I just remember, I feel like they're really pushing that one heavy. Like there had to be some fast food tie-in or something that I think I remember seeing cups at or whatever.
So that basically killed his movie career though. He's basically been doing TV shows since then. He did a lot of 24 episodes, but looks of it.
My God,
Yeah, did
can
a
his
lot of 24.
brother Anthony help him out? Give him a break? Maybe get that Freddy versus Hannibal Lecter movie going.
That was a terrible joke.
It was a great joke. What are you talking about?
That's a terrible joke. Two people with the last name Hopkins. I'll write a joke about this. I'm hilarious.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Look at me, I'm Tim. I'm hilarious.
You're right. I feel like you trying to say that's an insult, but I think it's accurate. No, I do also like the kind of like all the crazy dreamy stuff at the end where like kind of they're running like up and down stairs and like it's
Oh, when it like mirrors them and there's like stairs
yeah.
going upside down and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like it feels like there's some stuff like that maybe like I think maybe there's like a little bit of spotty tech stuff in here that maybe if this was made a little later, it might have looked a little better. But I did still think it was cool, and I like the ideas of. Again, I like a lot of like dreamy stuff. So the more they kind of play into that, the more I like.
You know me, Tim. I like rules. I like there being a defined set of rules if we're going to something like this, where there's
Fair.
and it doesn't really feel like this movie has any. It's just stuff happens because oh hey, this will look cool, and ultimately for me that doesn't quite work, especially if I'm not really invested in what the story is, and I really never was. Like the whole baby plot's just kind of like
Yeah, like for me, like that's the big weak point of the movie is the story, which unfortunately that's a pretty big part of a movie.
It's a very important yes, it's very the foundation of the movie of which is built on yes.
So like like that's not great, but I do like I do kind of like the characters though. Like I still like Alice. Like it's nice to see her back, even if it's not as good as she was like in the last movie. And some of the friends like I don't mind. Like and it's hard not to like a comic book guy, even if he's maybe not the best, but no, like like some of the character stuff is okay. And yeah, again, it feels like maybe there aren't as many kills in this, but the ones that are there, they do stick out to me. Like the motorcycle, I think is cool. The yeah, like the stuffing the girl's face with food is really gross to me. But then and then yeah, like the comic book death is cool.
Which, by the way, actually, now I'm thinking about it, that's two movies in a row. Remember the last movie we were talking about the character from the third one, who the Arquette's character who died early last movie. Her mother didn't seem to care that her friends had died, and there was like it made me think of that again in this movie because they're at that dinner party scene with the model potential model and her mother. And so they've got all these guests, and like some of the guests, these hoity-toities, like, oh, I've talked to this photographer. He may be interested in your work. I'm posh and suave, yeah. And the mother, like, hey, you could show some appreciation, dear. You're looking very dour. And she's like, two of my friends have died in the last like 48 hours, and she's like, they're just friends, and because it's like. It's like, oh yes, the guy in the truck. I heard it was drinking because they basically assumed because there was a bottle of wine in the truck with Thingy's boyfriend that's how he died. He was just drink driving, And the mother's like, "Oh no, she was just a friend, and he wasn't seeing her. You understand, right?" Yes. It seems to be a recurring theme. There's always one shitty parent who just doesn't care that their kid's friends are dying and how that's affecting their child. Or even later on when the boyfriend's parents want to take her baby from her.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, her dad, there's some growth here for her dad. Alice's dad, who was a drunk in the last movie, is now sober and is now being a pretty good father figure, to the point where he's even really supportive about the baby. And he's just like, yeah, it'll be nice to have feet run around the house. Just don't make a habit of it. One baby's enough. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Well, I forgot about the graduation scene where he has to like lurk in the shadows because he's like so ashamed. He doesn't want like anyone to see him.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, I didn't see you. He's like, oh, I was hiding in the back behind the tree. Yeah. I didn't want to be like a cliche, the drunk dad, in the crowd. So, oh, come on, Dad, let's go get a photo. What I thought was funny though, because it's like the group of friends, her, the boyfriend, the nurse, the model girl, and the comic book guy. It's the group of friends, right? And some of their parents are there. What I thought was funny though is that the boyfriend's dad was like, here's a coach from a college, he's a scholarship, this dude. And he's like, oh yeah, we'll talk about your game, son. He's like, he's just there to talk about American football. That's all he's there for. But for some reason, when they take this photo of the kids and their parents, he gets a chair and sits at the front. Like, you don't know these people. You don't know them. Yeah. You're there because you might pick this guy for your team in college or whatever. But you're not. That's it. That's all you are. You're a scout.
Yeah.
Why is it? But he takes a seat and sits down in the middle of this photo. Like, oh, I'm here. I might as well just be in it.
Yeah, that is weird.
He helps himself. That's all I'm saying. He helps himself to be in the photo. I don't understand why. It's weird.
Maybe Freddy was subtly controlling him.
That's true. He is conceived in the opening scene because the title's intercut with the sex scene, which intercuts with the flashback to Amanda Krueger being left in the asylum. Which, by the way, she's literally like. When they told us this story in Dream Warriors, it sounded like a really haunting accident. Like, oh my god, no one noticed she was left behind. In this flashback, it's really goofy where the two guys who are locking up are like, oh, we need to do a head count of the prisoners. Oh, that's fine. Let's go home for Christmas. And they just leave. And she's just left. She's just in the crowd of the criminals. And I'm like, this just feels super, lame compared to what we heard. Like, if it felt super, creepy before, and this flashback of it was just kind of like, this just felt like a sitcom moment of no, don't go. Oh well, I'm stuck with a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, first of all, it's pretty gross that no one wanted to see the scene.
No one did. No.
And then, but second of all, yeah, it's not creepy. It is super she screams for them 2 seconds after they close the door. The guys really couldn't go, hey, wait a minute, but also, it's I don't know how asylums work or whatever. I mean, maybe it's a different time, but it's they don't have their own individual rooms. They all just leave them in this big giant locked up place.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been what the 50s, the 40s, something like that.
Yeah,
maybe even the 30s. Actually, thinking about it, I can't remember when they said this happened, but just thinking Freddy has to grow up before he does his thing, and then the parents all kill him.
Sure.
It's time ago. Although it does feel like a movie thing. It doesn't feel like this is based on any real asylum. This feels like it's just what their movie logic wanted for the sake of the scene.
Yeah. It needs to be realistic. When you just chain your inmates to the ground.
And you just heard there first why Tim won't be writing any books on the mental health crisis and how we should deal with it.
Hey, I'm just referencing the new Halloween movie.
Yes, that's okay. That's a reference. There's a reference. All right.
And then you did remind me too early about another one of Freddy's classic lines where the guy driving and then it crashes into the truck or whatever, and then Freddy says, "Don't dream and drive," which is all right. Yeah.
That was verging on the too cheesy side for me.
It's good advice, though, you gotta admit.
Oh sure, yeah. Don't drive and sleep. Yeah, it's a good point. But there's a bit on the cheesy side, I guess, at that point. Anything else you want to add, Tim, about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5?
Nah, I mean, we covered most of it. There's the one friend doesn't die, but then she does have some close calls, and then I did kind of like. I felt like it was like a little bit of a wasted opportunity when she's on the high dive and she, dives down and then the water disappears. Like, oh, it would have looked really cool just to see her like,
Splat.
yeah, go splat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all right.
I like a good splat time. You know I do.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah. So that's the movie. I mean, ultimately, I think it suffers because the plot's not very good. It feels very forced. The way to bring him back, the way to defeat him feels forced. It doesn't have a good through line like the last movie did. There's no fun, inventive element to it where it's like, oh, so she gets these powers over the course of the movie. It never really feels that the characters get to fight back, even though there's a clear opportunity to like have her use the fact that they can't hurt her because she's, immune to anything because Freddy has to keep her alive. They never really play with that, and that's a big shame. But ultimately, I think it's just kind of the pacing's kind of murky, and like so much of this one just blends together for me. Like I can't separate like the sections of the movie as much in my head. It just all kind of blurs and whatever. It's not the worst thing ever though. It's just kind of like a very typical, really mediocre to shitty horror sequel. But it's not like like oh my god, this is one of the most disastrous things I've ever seen. But I can't really recommend it either. So I guess that's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I give it. I mean, I agree like with what you're saying, but I do give it a light recommend because I still like the kills, and if you're a fan of the franchise, it's definitely you'll probably get like at least some enjoyment out of it.
Which leads to the rating of.
I think I'm gonna give it. I imagine you probably think it's maybe a little too high, but I think I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm kind of dancing between 5, 5.5, but I think I'll just go like a 5 for the 5th movie. Yeah, again, I can't
Tim,
argue with the movie,
Tim,
I do like it.
I'll tell you this now: if you give the 6th movie a 6, I'm going to slap you. Right?
Oh, you might be surprised when I think about that movie. We'll see.
My rating for this movie, I think I'm not going to be super like tough on it, but I think a 4 out of 10 is kind of where I'm sitting. It's not a good movie. I wouldn't recommend it.
Sure.
I think after 4 now, I would just say skip to New Nightmare and skip 5 and 6 because 5 is bad and then 6 is oofed. Well, 6 you'll find out what we think about 6 next time we come back to the franchise.
Yeah. Just do yourself a favor. Just go right to the remake. You'll be happy.
Oh god, I've never seen the remake, and we're going to do the remake after we finish. So,
well, get ready.
I'll get ready. I'll get ready for that indeed.
The question is do I hate myself enough to be a completionist and actually buy the remake?
Oh, don't do it, Tim.
Well, we're gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, stream it for free if you can. If not, find the cheapest rental possible.
Maybe I'll see like what used copies are looking like on Amazon. If we're not...
that's good because that doesn't go to the people who make it. That goes to the person who is reselling it. So that's good. Yes, do not give them any money or as little money as humanly possible for the remake.
Hey, you haven't seen it yet. You might like it.
That's true. I might love it. I've got a funny feeling I'm not going to, but yeah, you never know. So that's a 5 and a 4 out of 10. So we're definitely dipping down here.
Pete, can you, I don't know, your fancy tech skills or whatever, can you end this episode by putting in some special effects where you just start glowing blue and then go into my stomach?
I mean, I can make myself glow blue. I don't know about making it get into your stomach, though. That may be a bit beyond my visual effects capabilities at this point in time.
All right, well, it would have been nice.
So... where was I even going? I don't even know. That was such a weird request.
Give us money is what you're about to say.
Oh yeah, patreon.com. Give us money. Patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can go and support us there, and you can get some voting rights as a monthly vote for episodes. And we're still trying to think of new things to add for Screams After Midnight specifically that we can tempt you with. I might even talk to Tim about some ideas after we're done recording. But you can go and
send you some old clothes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you can get Tim's underwear at the extreme high tier of $500. He'll send you some used underwear.
Yeah, why not?
And he won't wash it, he promises.
Nope.
You can get the scent of pure Tim.
Ooh. Hey, I mean, if you're willing to pone up that money, why not?
Yeah, I mean, why not? So you can do that, of course. If you can't do that, don't feel bad though, because you can, of course, like, subscribe, comment, all these other things. All of it helps. All of it supports the channel and the show and what we do. So thank you very much. But yeah, thanks once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.